everybody. Thank you to tuning in to a segment. This is a new segment I'm launching. Today is the first episode. I'm partnering up with an amazing human being, amazing soul, who literally helps. She's an attorney, she's a lawyer, but she works with employees, and she's created this service. A typical lawyer would never create this, but since she's not a typical lawyer, she's created, she actually works with employees before they even make a move to leave their current job. And her name is Anitra. I'm going to let her introduce herself because she'll do an amazing job than I'm doing. But Anitra, do you want to introduce yourself and how you went from a lawyer and then how you created this whole thing working with employees and helping them as they thinking of leaving their jobs?
Yes, thank you so much, Gurpreet. You are my soul sister. We vibe so much on what we want to do for employees. And essentially, if there's any employee who's listening who is staying up at night, worrying about your job, like you need to listen to what Gurpreet and I are going to be talking about on the show. I've been an attorney for over 10 years. And I do focus on employment discrimination, but I noticed, Gurpreet, very early on that it was really hard to prove these cases. Like when people get fired, all the best evidence is already gone. And so the person is just kind of left feeling crazy without a lot of options. Their paycheck is gone. It's a really bad situation. So I developed my own approach to this problem called legal therapy, where I actually coach employees while they are still at work to not just gather evidence so they can have a stronger case, but how to emotionally deal with the trauma that is being in a toxic work environment. So I've helped hundreds of clients go through this process. And a lot of times we're able to get a settlement agreement, allow them to transition out of their workplace without going to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, without having to file a lawsuit. They're able to continue their careers, which you brilliantly help them do. But they're able to continue with their careers without this huge dramatic thing having made them totally depressed and blackballed from their profession.
Thank you for introducing yourself. And yes, that 1 hour call, 30-minute call turned into 3 hour call. And then we came up with this whole segment to do. We're collaborating. If you don't already know me, my name is Gurpreet Kaur Rahman, and I'm a career strategist that helps career professionals to move into bigger roles with a bigger paycheck. We're talking about 70 plus salary increases and also aligning to a role to your true potential and being in your dream soul companies and bosses and co-workers to work with. So this segment is going to be called, we're going to be running this every Wednesday, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. It's called the A&G Show. So Anitra brings in the lawyerness in her, but also how to plan your exits. Now, we'll be doing this every Wednesday, but today's segment, as you can see on the screen that's scrolling, should you stay or leave? Now, in your current positions, December is the month where we do a lot of reflection. We examine the whole year, 2025, and we start to slowly plan what's our goals that we want to accomplish in 2026. Before we get to the goals, we also look at, well, did I accomplish the goal that I set out for 2025? So we do a lot of reflection. I've been doing it. Anitra, you've been doing it?
Oh, big time. Big time. Yeah.
So this is literally the month where a lot of people were all doing soul searching, reflection. And many of you probably have this question about, should I leave or should I stay? And that's how we're kicking off our segment today, because I want Anitra to explain what you can do if you already have this feeling. Because it starts with the feeling, it starts with the gut intuition. And now we want to walk you through the steps you need to take if you already have this question floating in your mind. Also want to let you guys know that you can drop your questions. We'll be happy to answer all the questions. We do want to keep the segment 30 minutes, and then we'll stay back and answer any questions. So, Anitra, you take it away. So, the minute someone has this question in their mind or heart or soul, hey, should I be leaving my role or should I just stay? What happens at that moment from
Yeah.
your experience of the beautiful clients you've worked with?
Yes. Usually, if I have a client who is wondering this question, 9 times out of 10 is because things are not going well at work for some reason. You have that one client who may want to switch jobs because they have more opportunities. They usually are not the ones to pick up and call an attorney. So if I'm involved, something is wrong. And so, to your point, that gut feeling, people are shocked when they get on a consultation call with me and I ask them, well, what's your gut feeling as to why this is happening? And this thing would be this feeling of you're being targeted, the feeling of you're being pushed out, the feeling like you're going crazy. They are trying to figure out how to stop this pain. So my very first step is to get the potential client to trust themselves again. They've usually gone through so many things at work already that they are really doubting their own gut feeling. So trust your gut feeling. Are things going poorly? Is there some kind of problem at work? And I think that's such a great place to start, with just being able to be honest with yourself.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. When you have this feeling, and you start with the question of why you're feeling this way. Now, what should be the next step after that? Like, should you stay or should you leave? Like, obviously, if you've decided you want to leave, I would say right now, don't leave because you don't want to lose your bonus.
Right.
Don't leave. But there's stuff that you can start doing today to help you for when it's time to leave. So usually we call this exit strategy. You should have a plan. You should have a game plan to what we call an exit strategy. And Anitra, I know you are excellent at this and also helping your clients leave with a big severance package. Now, how do you plan an exit strategy? But also, if you're already deciding to leave, like how do you even get the severance?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So I'm with you. This is why we're soul sisters, right? Don't quit. Even when things are going badly, don't quit. Like, let them push you out the door if it's that serious. And the big question is like, okay, but it's really painful and traumatic to stay. To your point, there are ways for us to deal with that. That's what I teach my clients, how to stay. So number one, don't quit, because two things are going to happen. Well, really three. Number one, the longer you stay, the more leverage you can build to convince them to give you a severance package, period, and then a quite sizable one. Number two, the longer you stay, you can qualify for the bonuses that are coming your way.
Yeah.
Right? And then three, I'm sure you can attest to this fact. It's always easier to find another job when you have one.
Yes. Because
So,
it's a lot less stressful
yes.
compared to when you're like, sadly, how many people are out of a job right now? The last
Yeah.
2 years, the layoffs and stuff. Some people have been blindsided.
Yeah.
But that's why we're having these conversations now, so that you're not blindsided when it happens, but there are steps you can take. But sadly, yes, like how many people are in the last 2 years are out of a job, and then you are being reactive to the
Yeah.
situation, then you're in a desperate mode, which I don't blame anybody, because
Right.
like you need the income, you need money coming in to have your quality of life,
Yeah.
your rent or your mortgage, groceries, day-to-day necessary stuff that you need
Absolutely.
to function. So definitely I always tell people, listen, you will know if you I would always tell people to stay, but if it's super highly toxic and it's impacting your health, then your health comes first.
Sure.
And I would even say, hey, go on a leave.
Mm-hmm.
Make use of your benefits so you don't quit, but you go on a mental leave, like go to a doctor, your family doctor, and go on a leave that gives you a little bit of, first to process everything that's happened in case you are in a really, really toxic situation, to then be able to then plan. That's one backup tool that I always tell people, listen, do you have benefits? Do you have short-term disability? It will only work if you have a short-term disability, because long-term disability, I think, kicks in by 6 months after. So weigh all your options. If it's a really toxic work environment where like you just don't want to be there, because I don't think anything is more important than your health. But I know you have a couple of things you can do, and I know you're sharing some stories about your clients that there was an instant shift and breakthrough in their mindset.
Yeah.
So they were able to survive in with the company that they no longer want to work with.
Oh, absolutely. And that's really been the driving force behind me, for example, becoming board certified as a life coach and an executive coach, because there is a way to look at the workplace and have such a clear view of who you are that you are actually able to withstand in a healthier way a lot of the toxicity at work. I had one client who was experiencing so many physical symptoms, physical rashes all over their body. But after we worked together, not only did that clear up, but this person became so confident in their ability to respond to the attacks at work. They were able to get a sizable severance, like 3 times their salary, just because they were able to more effectively maneuver around that hostile work environment. And so that's a lot of the work that we do with our clients, having that mindset shift, letting them know, here's the key. All of this is actually very predictable. This is very human, like human behavior is so predictable. And a workplace is an emotional system. And anytime you have something that is a system, you can learn a system. I don't like calling it a game because this is very much so real life, real people. But once I show my clients the system that is work, they put it together and they just become these incredible forces that are able to get what they need and then transition out on their terms.
So let's talk about an exit plan, because I know a lot of people are sitting with a lot of questions. And then, yes, ask yourself, why are you feeling this way? What's causing the feeling? I would say, your gut's never wrong. And if you do want to leave, as both me and you're literally suggesting, don't. And that's where a lot of people also have said, hey, I can't leave right now because bonus, right? Because you're literally near the end. But what you can do today can help speed up that process, get your bonus. And then you're talking about how to get the severance, get them to kind of like push you out. And then now, do we want the employer to push them out? Or is there a better way of leaving your current job with the severance? So how do you get us? Like, I know obviously you, if the company lets you go, then they have to give you severance. So there's 2 parts to my question here. But one is like, what should they do so that they can leave with severance? Because yes, that's security. You have money while you can job search. And I'm going to talk at the next piece. What I'm going to cover is like what you should do now if you've already made up your mind you're going to leave. But we are telling you not to leave because there are steps you need to follow. And then while you're doing the other steps, parallel is plan the exit strategy today and start rolling that out. So what steps is like 5 tips you can give if someone's already having these emotions? What are 5 things they can do right now to ensure they can leave with severance, and definitely to contact you and work with you on this?
Definitely reach out to me.
That is the biggest step.
Right.
Just reach out to you. But if you can just share like 5 things they can do right now.
Yeah, that's a great question. So a little distinction. I know you're based in Canada, but you help people all over the world, but primarily a lot of your clients are in Canada and US.
Yes.
So I'm an American licensed attorney, specifically in the state of North Carolina, but we have a federal set of laws that allow me to, when it comes to those anti-discrimination laws at the federal level, I have clients all over the US. So in Canada, you guys are pretty employee friendly. And so that severance is mandatory. In America, not so much. In most states, it is optional for the employer to give you a severance. So some of the things that I do to encourage, right, employers to go into these severance agreements is that we have to build such a convincing case of discrimination that the employer understands that it would save them money to go into a severance agreement with you.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you knew, now that we've shown you what we have on you, if we go to court, it's probably going to end up in our favor. They'll say, you know what? Let's go ahead and agree to like a fraction of what this could potentially cost us, which could be in the millions.
Yeah.
We would prefer to settle even for like a 6-figure package because that would save us money. So
Yeah.
it's not a guarantee on how much you could get, but because I typically represent high achieving professional women, these packages are often in the 6 figures.
Yeah.
So with that distinction in mind, let's talk about some things that
So I
would
just want to
encourage
add
them.
here in Canada, we have, I don't know if US has it, but in Canada, even if you got terminated or if you quit, you can qualify for constructive dismissal, meaning you literally had no choice than to quit because it was so bad. Like the work environment, toxic work environment. But yes, you do have to have a case. So I always tell people when you're thinking about leaving, you should start collecting evidence that can prove. Now, in Canada, you have breach of contract, breach of employment. So, for example, if you got hired to do one thing, but then there was change in your job, but you're still getting the same role, that's considered constructive dismissal. So that could be, for example, let's say they added more responsibility to your original role, and now you're doing 5 things extra recently, but then they didn't give you the increase in salary, job title hasn't changed, but this was agreed upon when you joined. Now conditions have changed. For example, I know when one of the companies I was working for, they wanted to make some commission structure changes into for salespeople, and I was like, you can't do that. And if you do that, then you also have to be prepared for, if they're not in an agreement, you have to then be prepared to let them go. Like if your pay is being decreased, pay is being increased, nobody has an issue. But even a change in your employment contract is considered constructive dismissal. I remember working for, when I ran my own HR consulting practice, I remember having a client that had an employee as an office manager, but they did not want her anymore on the management team for various reasons. They had good reasons for not wanting because she was kind of toxic. But she's been in the company for many, many years. And I literally worked with an employment lawyer. I already told them like this will be considered constructive dismissal. Long story short, we worked with an employment lawyer, walked us through, even though this was a law firm, but they didn't specialize in employment law. So we worked with an employment lawyer and all the details, but literally exactly what I said, the lawyer said, be prepared that if she doesn't accept this change, you have to pay her severance and let her go. Even though her role is changing. Yes, her role is changing. So that's where when things are not documented, I'm not saying you don't lose out, but it's key to having documentations, even as an employee. Because, but in Canada, yes, any change in your employment agreement, even if you don't have it in writing, still a change. Toxic work environment can be classified as a constructive dismissal. So even if you quit, you can still get your severance in Canada because we're employee friendly. But a lot of people don't know this information, and so I think knowing is power, and then what you do with that knowledge and execute it could be gold mine.
Absolutely. Oh, I wish it was that way here in the US. I think the closest state to those kind of protections would be California. I'm not a
Yeah, I know
California licensed
California.
attorney. Yeah. So here's the thing. We have a concept called constructive discharge, but
Mhm.
it is literally so difficult to prove. There's basically only two scenarios the courts honor that. And that's number one, if you're like being physically, sexually assaulted at work and you decide not to go to work because you don't want to be attacked, or if they stop paying you, which is like de facto a termination because you're no longer getting paid. Those are the only two ways at the moment to really prove a constructive discharge. That's why I encourage my clients, do not quit unless it is dire and your life is on the line. You need to not go to work. There's no case that's more important than you being alive, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But if we can work on your mindset and I can teach you these strategies, by all means, please stay at work. That's going to give us, to your point, time to get that documentation. Because although we don't have those same protections on the front end in America, when you have that documentation about how much things changed, inconsistent
Yeah,
stories from your employer, that's what makes your legal case stronger. And the
100%.
stronger your legal case, the more leverage you have to settle with your employer now.
Yeah, 100%. That's the key of why you should stay, because when you up and quit, again, various reasons can cause you to up and quit. But
Mm-hmm.
at least if you're ready to quit, before you quit, grab the documentations, because once you quit, your access is cut off
Let's cut out immediately.
immediately. So you will not be able to get any records, any email exchanges you had. So if you're already thinking of leaving, then yes, you need access to grab all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Even,
and you're also getting paid. So that's always nice, right? Now you're not so desperate because you've
yeah,
already walked off your job. So I've seen some really great videos on like Instagram and TikTok where they're saying, hey, get the documentation, quit, and then file at the EEOC. Well, it depends on your goal. If your goal is to actually protect your reputation, have some money in your pocket so you can have the chance to heal and look for a new job, then you don't want to quit.
yeah, 100%.
You want to be able to take that ready-made package, approach your employer while you're still working to get the severance agreement.
That's why
Because
I believe working with you, the minute
Mhm.
you're having these feelings,
Yes,
important
wait,
than to wait or just, up and quit.
yeah.
Because I think the minute you have a feeling, that intuition, that gut, that there's something wrong at your work, don't
Hmm.
do anything, but they should call you or any employment lawyer. But I think your process is way better than what I've seen a lot of employment lawyers. But you also bring in that you have a whole system process that you walk them through to, and you were saying that someone wanted to quit, but they end up staying working with you. They end up staying at the company for 2 years before they did leave. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I think you're right in the emotional state. You're at work, it is emotional system because you're
mhm.
dealing with people, right? Like you're
I'm dealing
working
with
with
people.
human beings. Policies literally mean nothing. Policies are policies, but there's this whole emotions attached to human beings, and learning how to navigate those emotions can really, really help. And that's one of the things I remember you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that because that's the work. Organizations are really unique because there's people who are usually not related. There's some nepotism, but by and large, people who are unrelated who get together and further goals. That's really the work. I know we like to think that it's all about the legal work or the HR work or it's the fact that people are getting together and accomplishing goals or at least trying to.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of coaching with my clients on how to actually connect with the people at work. Even if you still have a goal of wanting to leave soon, you're going to get more evidence. You're going to be able to have people tell you things that they really shouldn't be telling you if you know how to actually connect with people. And, you're right. A lot of employment attorneys don't do this particular approach, right? Most of them are going to say, call us back after you get fired. And
Yes.
it's no, I don't have a bone to pick with them. There's actually not very many of us who know this area of law. So we're all colleagues. Like even people who do the other side for employers, we usually have really great relationships because, it's just not a lot of us who do this work. I'm the only one who I know of has specifically created a system to teach you the mindset of emotionally getting through the workplace, how to systematically, legally document, and how to approach your employer for a settlement. If you work with me, I teach you all of that. And then when it's time to approach for a settlement, that's the part I do. All of a sudden, I show up. I'm like, actually, we've been working on this for about 2 to 3 months, which is actually a pretty short time to work on things. If you file an EEOC claim, for example, that could take 6 months, a year. It could be very long. And then most of those claims actually don't get a lot of attention to help resolve them. They're just going to do the investigation and then give you a letter that allows you to sue your employer. But if you work with me, in about 2 to 3 months, we have a very airtight case. In fact, we're not just gathering evidence that has already happened. I'm teaching you how to put your employer in a position where they start creating the evidence that we need.
Yeah.
They start saying the quiet part out loud, and you're right there to document it.
Yeah. And the next piece is, we were talking about this come January when your performance reviews come. This is where there's a spike of people then start looking for jobs.
Oh my gosh, yes.
As their performance review did not go the way they expected it. They also, the promised promotion didn't come through.
Right.
Maybe you didn't get your bonus because, you didn't perform the way we were expecting. I know come January when the performance reviews happen, I do see a spike of people leaving jobs. Now, if that happens to you, what advice do you have at that moment when you had your performance review?
So hopefully you would have started working with me or you got into a system of documentation before, because I've tried to get my clients to a place where they strike first. So the whole point of really attacking your performance is because a large part of the way we prove discrimination relies on the fact that you were doing your job well when it happened. So your employer is going to try to put you in a position where they're able to say, or they're going to say that you weren't doing your job.
Yeah, usually it's going to be like you weren't hitting your KPIs.
Right, you weren't doing it. So you really need to actually document that the opposite is really true. So you just don't want to be caught off guard in that moment. You want to be able to anticipate that argument and have a counter argument. What I will do is I will walk my clients through exactly how to respond to that bad performance review.
Yeah.
Because if your employer is going to fire you, they're probably not going to say, she's doing an amazing job, we're going to fire you. No, they're going to say, we have these problems with you. So you have to anticipate that and have a plan to fight it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, anytime a company wants to let go an employee, which is every company's right to do. But yes, there's a process and all that stuff. But you as an employee also should build a process on when it happens, you have something to leverage. Bigger leverages get that severance. And as you walk out of that door, because they won't let you go, especially that sometimes is a blindside for people because they weren't expecting that. Obviously, when you're going to get terminated, you're not really expecting it to happen. But then that's where you get blindsided, right?
Yeah.
Now, I just 232. Okay. So I want to talk about exit strategies because I know you have some plans on exit strategies, and then I have the other plan on, build your LinkedIn, do this. So if someone has already made up their mind, I just want to leave, what exit strategy do you have?
Yeah, that's such a great question. One of the very first questions people will ask me, do I have a case? I have to listen to the information first, but I have a model that's called the Confident Case Code. And so I want you to just be on a mission to document in each one of these areas. It's an acronym. It spells CASE, CASE. And if you focus on documenting in these areas, you're going to be far ahead in order to actually ask for a severance in a convincing way. So the C stands for coworkers. I want you to focus on documenting how your coworkers are treated better than you. Take a note of who's male, who's female, ethnicity, age, religion, anything that you can really know that is also a part of a protected class. Do those individuals have disabilities or not? So as you start to just observe, you don't have to go looking through other people's emails or anything. Just start making those observations on who people, particularly people who have like your similar job. Like they're either on your team or on another adjacent team, but you guys have like a similar title and salary, maybe supposed to. Just start making those kind of notes. The A is going to focus on the action. What action, what kind of actions were your employer taking against you that you didn't like? Was it like they didn't pay out the bonus? Were you looked over for a promotion? Did they put you in a performance improvement plan? Or is it more like a harassment thing? Somebody's mistreating you over and over again. Let's get some documentation about how they were mistreating you. So that's the action. So we have the coworkers at an action. And then S, we've been talking about this the whole time, but your satisfactory performance, right? You've been doing your job, or so you thought. And I want you to document that. Collect the old performance reviews, collect any kind of awards or those emails that have been saying, hey, good job. Yeah. Show a collection of emails that show that there were no problems and you were, meeting the expectations. So we have our coworkers, our action, and our satisfactory performance. And there's one last one. Did you have something to add?
Oh, I was going to say also collect all the problems you've solved, the results you've been delivering.
Absolutely. Because that's going to be the first thing they say, like you didn't hit your KPIs. But no, you actually have a list, a record of how you've been meeting these results.
Yeah.
The last one is your existence in a protected class. This is what makes you different than the coworkers you talked about earlier. I find that it's hard, if we start there, it's hard for my clients to say, I think this is happening to me because I'm a woman, I'm a Black woman, because I have a disability. That's like a tough pill to swallow. But I think after you start documenting and you can just be honest, you just observe how you're different than other people. And then I'll take over everything else. So that's the Confident Case Code. If you have documentation about your coworkers, the actions, satisfactory performance, and the existence of a protected class for you, I'll be able to put together a case because that's the information the courts are looking for.
I would just also add, I remember a lawyer here in Canada was talking about this. Always also document every time you've spoken to your boss. Follow up with the email with a summary of what was spoken.
Every time.
Yeah,
it has a huge. I teach my clients that strategy because a lot of times you can record, but then in America, some states you have to ask permission from both people in order to record. And then some workplaces tell you you can't record anybody. So if that's the case, following up with an immediate summary is very powerful evidence because it's hard to, lie about what happened when somebody's memory is that fresh and it can get back to you that quickly.
Yeah, 100%. I would share some tips on the exit strategy in terms of what you can do outside of your work and so that you can set up quickly for success to land another job. I would say the minute you have that feeling that you need to look for another job, the first things you need to do is, and I think capitalizing on this month is amazing because so many holiday things are happening. I would start to widen your network. I don't like to use the word network, but widen the scope of people you have access to outside of your companies you're working for. reconnect with past coworkers. I would even attend holiday events. Like if there's a company your dream company you want to work for, and you know somebody that works there. So I know some companies are going away with, and I know some companies in Canada are doing this where you can't bring a guest, and it's only you only employees allow for various reasons. Don't want to get into that mess. But hey, if some companies still allow their employees to bring a guest, and that's another way is to get in front of a lot of people. And right now is the best time because everybody is in great spirits, holidays, season, and time to be jolly season. So I would start doing that. I would also start to I don't like to use the word network just because I found like people don't know how to network because everybody's making it a
So
transactional
true.
thing when it should just be making you friends in different industries. Don't even stick to your industry that you've been working in, but you don't know who can open doors for you, right? So I would do that. I would also, look at what role you want next. Aim higher. That's my philosophy: is go higher than where you are today. And I would work on resume. I would definitely start working on LinkedIn because that will be your best friend to getting recruiters to come chase you instead of you being the chaser. So these are the things I would work on right away. And these are like non-negotiable. Even when you're working, you should be doing this because I found like people get too comfortable with the people they work. They can't think beyond that. And then they're only hitting up industry events. One of the things I've done this year for me that has been working really, really well is joining private clubs. So these are not professional association clubs. These are like, they're just private clubs where elite go and hang out.
Yeah.
Dinner, events, everything you name it, these clubs do. Yes, there's an initiation fee. You can capitalize on right now. A lot of these clubs are giving some great discounts, end of the year discounts, to get in these clubs. Yes, there's an initiation fee and so on, but do some research on. You can literally use ChatGPT and say what private clubs are in whatever city you are in, and let it do the research for you, and then kind of begin that game. I would literally say that's played out really well for me this year, being a part of a private elite club. And you get access to someone. People like just today, someone wrote in our WhatsApp group, "Hey, I'm hiring for X. Does anybody know anybody in their network?"
Wow.
And that's one of the powers of these elite professional. They're not professional. They're just elite clubs, that people within that club actually refer businesses, refer even hiring people the preferred from these clubs. So this is one of the best things that it's kind of like the best kept secret that nobody talks about, but it exists.
Yeah, you're so right. You're so right.
And it gives you access because networking just gives you that 1 minute high, or the conference gives you the 2 day high. Then that relationship kind of fizzles away because you're not constantly seeing that person, especially if you don't live in the same city.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
Being in the club, they're always putting on events and this and this and that. So you'll be constantly being interacting with the people, and you become a part of it's like that US has it, the universities have that, what is it called? You have
like our alumni clubs and
you have to pledge to become
sororities and
yes,
fraternities. Yeah.
it's literally that. And you will always come first to them than anybody else. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I would literally look into that, or find people who are already part of that club so that you can attend the events as a guest, as their guest. If you don't have the money or you don't want to invest, at least find somebody who's already, like I literally tell everybody in my network, hey, I can bring you into the club I'm in as a guest, and you can explore it. And if you decide to join, that's up to you, but I can always bring you in as a guest. So I would do that. I would definitely LinkedIn and resume.
Yes. You know, what's so great about what you and I both do is we, number one, caution people from getting too comfortable, right?
Yes.
Don't get too comfortable where you stop networking. And I'm telling you, don't get too comfortable where you can't accept the fact that one day your employer doesn't want you there.
Yeah, that
You
could
know,
happen.
yeah, that it happens every single day. We're dealing with like a lot of people who have been dealt that blow. And the important thing is, like, when a relationship goes bad, like just with one of your friends or a significant other, a really important part of repairing that relationship is vulnerability. Both people showing up and saying, "Hey, I want to work this out."
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of people would like to have that relationship repair with their jobs, but then you have this employer who does not want to be vulnerable, who does not want to apologize. In fact, they are often legally told to not do that. They're discouraged from doing that. They're discouraged from admitting to any kind of wrongdoing. In that kind of situation, no matter how badly you want to repair the relationship, it's just not possible. And so it is a tough pill to swallow, but you're going to face being in an environment that no longer wants you there. But you don't have to get out right away. Until they fire you, you have some time to work that system, network, get your next job lined up, but also build this case so that you can get a severance on your way out. So I think you and I have we're two sides to the same coin, where it's just like, listen, you have so much leverage if you stay in this job, change your mindset and let the situation work for you, even if it's an undesirable situation where you're, the one being pushed out, you still have a lot more options.
Yeah. 100%. Okay, let's wrap the segment. I know you want to give everybody something.
Yeah, so I have a guide. I have the 3 mistakes that high achievers tend to make that get them fired without a severance. I want to share that guide. So we're going to drop a link. I'll make sure you have the link. Or if they don't see a link, they can just say exit plan, and I'll know that they want this guide so they can start to have more information about what they should do if they're in a toxic situation.
Perfect. Guys, make sure you grab the link when she drops it in the comments. And you guys can always also, can they reach out to you directly as well?
Absolutely. They can go to my website at www.anitrakvalentine.com. That's where you can look about more what I do. And if you want to fill out an application to work with me, my team will get back to you.
Perfect. Guys, you can catch us every Wednesday. We'll be back next Wednesday. So we're committed to do the segments. Our show is called ANG Show, where we'll be covering everything to do with employment, careers, and so on, so that we can help you set up your career the right way to even, if you're thinking of leaving, the steps you should take and so on. So that's our segment. We were doing this every Wednesday. You can always let me know what topics you want us to cover, because Anitra is a lawyer. Yes, she's not licensed to work with other states or Canada, but that's where the beauty of her program comes into. It's not about her being licensed or not to work in a particular state or country, but her fundamental process works for everybody.
Yes.
Regardless of state, country, it will work for you. But I think you need to have like that person in your pocket that will guide you properly in any work situation that's going on. Because you want to be prepared instead of being reactive. Be proactive. And this is why we're partnering up together and collaborating, because she brings in that expertise that I do think is really, really important. And I don't know anybody that does the work she's doing. Yes, she knows the legal knowledge, but she's also helping you plan everything out for you from a lens of legal. And I think that piece is the key. So catch our segment every Wednesday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And always, if you have questions about your own situations, drop them, or you can submit them privately. Just DM me. You can privately submit them and say, hey, I don't want my name to be disclosed. Not a problem. We'll still cover your questions because each situation is unique, right? So we're giving you guys general guidelines, but I do believe each situation is unique. I've worked in HR for 20 years. So I know some of the laws, especially in Canada and California, just because California and Canada is so similar, that we can definitely guide you. But yes, Anitra can guide you guys way better than I can. But I can also shed some behavior knowledge in terms of what's happening in each situation, just because I work behind those closed doors. And I know when a manager wants to have someone gone, what's happening in their mindset, the conversations I'm having with them is literally legal conversations. Well, have you had this? Do you have this? Do you have this?
Absolutely.
Why do you want, like, I literally fought one manager who was raving about these new hires and 2 weeks later come and say, I want to fire them. And I was like, why? I don't like
Absolutely.
them. Like, you were raving about them 2 weeks ago. Now all of a sudden you want to fire, but give me proof of, like, tell me why you want to fire them, and then there's proof behind it. You can't just fire somebody.
You're one of the good ones.
Today you feel like it. And then I remember he wasn't happy with my answer. And then he went to my boss and he said, well, whatever Gurpreet said is true. And then he went to his boss.
Oh my God.
I was like, these two people in HR are not backing me up. And she said the same thing. The director of operations said the same thing. She's like, no, they're right. She's right. You can't just rave about somebody and then literally a week or 2 weeks later say you want to let them go, but there's no documentation. There's nothing. Like nothing.
Yeah.
Where is your documentation? Show me proof where they're not hitting their KPIs. Plus, they're new. So yeah.
Because most HR professionals, at least in America that I know, not everybody, this is not just, hating on HR professionals, but let's just say I'm busy because there are a lot of people who are not as careful and thorough as you, where they are comfortable with firing somebody that quickly. I'm dealing with a case right now. Individual didn't even get out of their probationary period, and all of a sudden there are these problems. Well, it turns out that there was a request that was unreasonable, and because they didn't do it, now they want to retaliate. So because of those situations, people are so quick to fire people that they just arrived and welcomed on the job.
This is why I think it's even important for new hires, because sometimes people stay because they're new. I think you should be documenting as well, like
from the beginning,
your onboarding, your orientation, your 30, 60, 90 days performance review. You should be documenting what you're accomplishing every day. Like, usually, yes, some companies are not good with this process. I literally, for managers, made 30, 60, 90 days plan as an onboarding process. There's 960-day plan, and I gave them, okay, 30 days, this is what they need to accomplish. 60 days, a new hire needs to accomplish this. 90 days, this. Partnership with the hiring manager, obviously. Sitting down with them, having conversations, and then I make sure they're doing these check-ins with the new hires and have their forms with them to check off, write notes. We file that into the employee. Like, yes, I literally will not fire somebody just because someone wants to.
Yeah, and this is why I have repeat clients because we'll work together, and now they know a lot of the signs. And so they call me so much more quickly, but I'm actually starting another program for my past clients. They can graduate into the next program. So as they're going into their new job, we're actually doing an assessment of where the potential toxic behaviors are going to show up. So they go into the new job when everything is fine, asking for certain information, getting certain documents. So if things change, they'll have something to compare it to. So we can talk about this forever.
I know, but I do amazing. Like this. I want to end with saying how, because we're talking about should you leave or stay, and when you decide to leave, I think one crucial point is when you get that job offer, always get someone to, if you can, either whoever you want to work with, but it is so important to get a lawyer. I can't stress this enough, to get a lawyer to review that job offer. I know in Anitra, you do it, even for across all states and certain countries too, right?
Yeah. So what I do is I can't necessarily comment on the state specific law, but just how it's going to impact them federally. And we just talk about the culture of their organization. So I can always speak to that and help them do a cultural assessment to see if this is really the best fit for them.
Yeah, and you also know the language.
Yes.
Each section on the employment contract, this means this is what it really means.
Right.
Because sometimes those language is so hard to even translate.
Absolutely.
Because usually the lawyer writes it and then
Yeah.
you keep using the same template.
Right.
So
I
I
need
think
another lawyer to translate that one and to translate that one. So
I
yeah.
always recommend. I know I can't speak on to people different people's fees, but I always say it's so much better. Just like you wouldn't do your own taxes, why
Mhm.
would you do anything job related on your own? And I
Yeah.
think that's like where people do screw up, where you're just eager, you got the offer, you just sign your life
Yeah.
away. You don't
Absolutely.
take the time to sit there, review it. Does this make sense? Okay, I don't understand this. No clarifications. Like one of my clients yesterday told me on our coaching call he landed a job, new job. He's increased his salary by 62K, which is amazing.
That is.
But he didn't even message me that he got an offer. And then I was pointing all these things. He said, "Oh my God, I should have contacted you." I'm like, "Yeah, you should have told
Mhm.
me you got an offer.
Yeah.
I could have walked you through, reviewed it, told you that what it means, the things you can ask." He doesn't have clarity on what vacation time he's getting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I go through with my clients. Like, these are the topics you need clarification on when it comes to working. Let's think about what this job looks like 6 months from now, 12 months from now. And so to start thinking past, the nice figure that you see on paper right now, the reality is I had one client, we worked together, and then it came time for their next job. They had multiple offers, but because of the work we did together, this person knew the kind of questions to ask. And sure enough, let's just say one of those jobs did not meet their standards for what the environment that they needed to go in that was going to be healthy, and ended up landing in their job that was really the better fit. So we really break down workplace dynamics and that you are empowered to choose an environment that works for you. It
Yeah.
is not just about money. You have so many more needs as an employee. And I teach my clients that. So I love to see that transformation of them being more empowered, more
Yes.
confident. Some who were just never going to stand up for themselves, now standing up for themselves, knowing how to negotiate. That's why I keep doing this work. I know that's why you keep doing that work, because that mindset shift where they are now just so much more confident and empowered.
And this is exactly why we're saying don't quit your job.
Right.
Because when you don't have a job, then you're being reactive and you're being too
Absolutely.
emotional, and then you're just going to take any job. Meanwhile, there's things you should be looking for, what questions you should be asking in the interview, which is designed. Like one of the things I do with my clients is we literally design and map out what boss do you want, what role do you want, what company, what morals and values and ethics a company should
Yes.
have. And then based on what you came up with that map, that's the questions we need to ask so that you can decide if the work environment's for you, the boss is for you, manage your coworkers to the company's ethics, morals, and values. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times, 99% career professionals who I've worked with, being on the other side of the table when I'm interviewing candidates for the last 20 years, this is the big mistake candidates make when they're interviewing for
Right.
roles, but they don't come with that clarity of what they want,
Yes,
let alone be able
absolutely.
to ask questions that's going to help them make a decision. So, well, we can continue talking about this, but guys, I know we said like I think 15 minutes ago we're going to end, but join us next Wednesday, same time. We'll be coming with another segment on this, on the employment side. So we're here to help you through this December month, because this is the biggest month where we are doing those deep reflections. We're reflecting on 2025. Did it go the way you wanted? No, where you're not happy, especially we're going to be covering more on the career side, not your personal life and career, professional life, because it is integrated a big component of your life. And so we want to help navigate these thoughts you're having, the emotions and feelings you're probably already feeling, and then also prep you for, going into those performance reviews, what you should be asking your manager when you're having those reviews. You should do a review on yourself, come with figures. We'll talk about it next Wednesday, how to prep for performance reviews, so that it's not even about a fair outcome, but if you go prepared and have your facts and figures, you can challenge your manager when there's not a disalignment of what you have versus what they're saying, and then what questions you can ask. So we'll talk about that next Wednesday. See you guys next Wednesday, and thank you for joining. But if you need help as you're navigating these questions, please reach out to Anitra. The only reason I'm not saying reach out to me because she's the lawyer.
Yeah.
She already has a program. She literally teaches this in her program, how to process these emotions and feelings,
Yeah.
but also the things you need to start doing right now before quitting.
Yep.
Like, we don't want you to quit. We literally want you to walk out with a huge severance.
Yeah.
So reach out to Anitra. I will drop her LinkedIn link to her profile, but she's also going to be dropping her guide on the steps you need to take as you're thinking of exiting. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. Have a good day. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Bye.
Bye, everyone.